Syntactic processing can be considered as a part of natural language processing. And before going into that topic, we must discuss what a language is and how the language is being processed. We use language for communication purpose, and the communication can be through speeches or through written documents or through reading activities. The humans think, decide, plans, and do everything in natural language. Can be done through words of language, through which the communication is being made. Now, can human communicate with computer in their natural language? That is question. If we are able to communicate with the computer system in the natural language that we used to use, then the problem will be solved to an extent. So developing natural language processing applications is challenging because computers need structured data. We know that computers require data which are structured, but human speech is unstructured and often it includes confusing information because same word can be of different meaning when it is used in different contexts. So that this cannot be applied directly into the computing environment because the structuring is not accurate. So in this sense, we can say that NLP, natural language processing, is a subfield of computer science, especially in the field of artificial intelligence. AI is considered about enabling computers to understand and process human language. So technically, main task of NLP is to program computers for analyzing and processing huge amount of natural language data. Our ultimate aim should be to make the computer or program the computer for handling natural language data, which is huge in quantity because it is having a word itself is having different forms. So in the study of human language, we know that language is a crucial component for human being because with that only we are communicating with fellow persons. It's actually the fundamental aspect of our behavior. So it can be experienced in two forms. It can be in the written form or in the spoken form. In the written form, it can be taken into generations. From one generation to another generation, some information can be passed through written form. And spoken form is primarily used for day-to-day behavior or communication. So written form is a long-term activity and spoken form is a short-term activity. So there are some ambiguity and uncertainty in language processing or language presentation. Ambiguity is generally used in natural language processing. It can be referred as the ability of being understood in more than one way. If a commodity is having different meaning at the same time, then it causes ambiguity. NLP is having the following types of ambiguities. One is the lexical ambiguity. This is a single word. This ambiguity of a single word is called lexical ambiguity. If the ambiguity or confusion exists in a single word of a sentence, then it is called lexical ambiguity. For example, treating the word silver. If we take a word silver, it can have a noun form, it can have an adjective form or a verbal or verb form, format of a verb, because silver is a material. Using silver, we can do some action like plating a coin with silver. Can be an adjective when we say that the hair is silver in color. Likewise, the same term silver is having different meaning according to the situation where it is being used. Then syntactic ambiguity occurs when a sentence is parsed in different ways. For example, the sentence, "The man saw the girl with the telescope." If we look into this sentence, we cannot say definitely that who is having the telescope. It can be the man or it can be the girl who is having the telescope. So that makes the confusion there, and this type of confusion is known as syntactic ambiguity. Then we have semantic ambiguity. It happens when a sentence contains ambiguous word or phrase. For example, "The car hit the pole while it was moving." So here, the semantic ambiguity is dealing with the interpretation that exists in the sentence. The car while moving hit the pole can be treated in that way, or the car hit the pole while the pole was moving. That can also be asserted from the sentence. So there exists a confusion which is known as semantic ambiguity. Then anaphoric ambiguity. It arises due to the use of anaphora, which is referring to the repeating of, for avoiding the repetition of a word, we will be using the forms like it and all. It, she, he. Likewise, we will be using another word for already represented words. It is known as anaphoric ambiguity. For example, "The horse ran up the hill. It was very steep. It soon got tired." So it is being used for, the word it is being used for horse as well as for the hill. So there exists some ambiguity because the same word is used for horse as well as hill. So while we are speaking, it is okay, but when we take into the computation environment, it makes difficult. Then we have pragmatic ambiguity. It refers to a situation where context of a phrase gives multiple interpretations. It arises when the statement is not specific. For example, in a sentence like, "Do you know what time it is?" or "Do you know what time is it?" can be a question. When it is, it can actually deal with the current time, or if it is an expressing anger form, because if somebody gets late to attend some meeting or so, or to attend the class, then also the same question can be asked. What is the time now? It is not representing the current time, but it is representing that he or she is late for attending the event. Then another example is, "The chicken is ready to eat." Chicken can be the little ones of hen, and then they are ready to eat their food, can be treated in that way, or it can be a cooked food, like the cooked chicken is ready to be served. So such confusions exist while we take these sentences or natural language sentences into the computing environment. Then we have different phases in natural language processing. It can be morphological processing, syntax analysis, semantic analysis, pragmatic analysis. So morphological processing means it is the first phase in natural language processing. The purpose of this process is to break the unit in the language into sub-tokens or sets of tokens corresponding to paragraphs, sentences and words. So we'll be dividing the whole sentence into different easily manageable units, so that those units cannot be subdivided further. For example, the word uneasy can be broken down into two words as un and easy. So the activity which is corresponding to the structuring of a sentence is called morphological processing. And then syntax analysis, which is the second phase of natural language processing. Here the purpose of this phase is divided into two areas: to check that a sentence is well formed or not, and to break it up into a structure that shows the syntactic relationship between the different words. One is looking into the structure of the sentence, and the other is to show the syntactic relation between different words. For example, the sentence like the school goes to the boy, it will be rejected in this phase, even though it is syntactically correct with respect to the rules of the language, but the formation is not accurate or according to the natural language. So the analyzer or parser will reject this sentence, the school goes to the boy. Then we have semantic analysis, which is the third phase of natural language processing. The purpose of this phrase is to draw exact meaning from the text. The text is checked for meaningfulness. For example, semantic analyzer would reject a sentence like hot ice cream because they are entirely different entities or opposite entities combined, which can never be combined or which never exist. So such sentences will be rejected by the semantic analyzer. Then we have pragmatic analysis, the fourth phase of the natural language processing. It simply fits the actual objects or events which exist in a given context with object references obtained during the previous phase. Here again with an example it will be very clear. If we say that put the banana in the basket on the shelf, can have two semantics. Put the banana in the basket on the shelf. It can be considered as putting the banana over the shelf. Earlier it was in the basket, or we can put the banana in the basket and place the basket on the shelf. It can be treated in two ways. So there we are having different interpretations. Two possibilities are availing